EMEA.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smite in the Sewer, baby. We're down here for the muck and grime to have ourselves a hell of a time as we get into these fine Smite open bracket games. I'm Deelo, joined here by KingFsher, joined here by Tess Almighty Eye in the Sky, and we've got an interesting one for us here tonight, folks. Random team names stepping up against some names that you definitely should know. Giovanni, Giorgio, KingFsher. How we doing?
Doing pretty good, you know, excited to get going. First, I think like real competitive action of Smite 2. Of course, there have been some games the last few weekends, but this is it. This is where it starts. The road to Vegas right now. And I'm just saying, not going to be able to pronounce that team name the entire time, so I'm going to just call him GG.
I like that. GG, and hopefully not going to be GG too quick, despite the competition that our friends on Random Team Name are up against, but they're stepping up with some pretty good picks to try to counter that aggression. Bacchus going to be the first one off the board. Can't blame him for it. Giovanni, GG, respond quickly with 2 carries.
Two very good ones as well. Neith and Soul have kind of been running the early Smite 2, right? These are two that you hear are very powerful. Obviously, not a whole ton of choices in that role, especially with the Jingwei band out, but a very strong start nonetheless. And on the other side, really looking at that Bacchus to be kind of the main troublemaker there for Random Team Name, a god that has just been at the forefront of I think just about everything these last few weeks and months.
Yeah, for sure. Sasano as well, to be fair, you know, takes the jet stream, moves on ahead. A lot of mobility we're seeing here with that Loki pick locked in as well. Giovanni respond by locking in their front line as their locks. Next, Bologna and Ymir. Always happy to see that. And moving with the quickness on her and Shock. A lot of physical threats here on Random Team Name. In fact, 4 to their side.
Yeah, there are, and there's no like concrete mid laner. I would assume looking at this team comp, it's gonna have to be the Susano or the Loki. So just waiting out to see which one is gonna be going into the mid lane, and believe they'll be up against the Neath. I think most times when I've seen this team comp, it's been a Soul ADC Neath mid. So interested to see if GG trends that way because looking at that team lineup, they know what they're doing, right? They're gonna kind of be on top of this one. So
Maybe.
definitely looking towards them as kind of a benchmark for what to do here in Smite 2.
And we're going to get right into it with that. Thanatos was their final lock-in as well, so they're looking to try to just snowball this pressure. But Random Team Name responding with aggression of their own. Ymir just going to be turned into an ice sculpture in a second. Takes a few stabs in the back. And with that, that might force some pressure here in this dual lane. That's a great way for Random Team Name to start the game off. Just trying to kind of surprise the top dogs of the scene.
It is, and it looks like we were right. It is going to be Susano in the mid lane, and then, of course, the Neath for GG, so that'll definitely be an interesting matchup to keep an eye on. And I gotta tell you, I'm still not used to, like, the two... no, they're not flipped. I don't know what I'm thinking. I thought dual lane and solo lane were flipped, but they're not. It's just new map, still getting used to. Dude, that would
so
be...
wide.
After so long, that'd be crazy. Oh, and an early kill.
Oh, that's crazy. Look at that. Vaporish Coast gets vaporized by Albi. Random team name. Get the first blood off of some of the most pedigree prime players this Smite scene has to offer.
That's going to be a good tone setter. More than that, that's going to be a huge momentum boost there for Random Team Name. Obviously, you got to think GG. You know, a lot of veterans, very composed, aren't going to let that one's rattle them. But if I'm
sure.
Random Team Name, I'm getting hyped up right now, right? It's not every day that you get to First Blood Viporish Coast. It definitely, you know, can take a minute to appreciate that one. But you still got to keep going. This Loki here in mid lane, looking aggressive, but Neath in the tower, not going to be in any real danger just yet.
Thanatos makes the rotation, but at that point, as you said, the danger had passed, so nothing more too much going to come of it. Looking for Random Team Name to just keep playing through this dual lane. If you already have a kill in your pocket and you have this double leap combination, it really enables you to just try to suss out the competition and force them from getting too much momentum. Loki, once again, trying to force Neath into a compromising position. Not going to find too much from it. Giovanni Giorgio just trying to counter it back with Thanatos hovering around. Seems, though, that Random Team Name caught that one out, and they're going to hang back.
Random team name still trying to be competitive, trying to be aggressive on this left-hand side, and it's going to lead to a stun there from the EMEA on her, though, with a nice double lead before backing up. And this on her is getting some really nice early pressure there. Disco Fairy doing a good job in the long lane. Here comes Santoso. Could look for a gank early.
Might be having Bacchus as the object of their affections. Always good to target the support, but what about when they both have leaps? Here comes Loki as well to try to counter out that rotation, and might just force GG to call GG on this attempt to look for more left lane pressure. This is a really great job. If they can just keep holding them at this mark, it's not too shabby for their name. The issue is, though, GG, of course, being the caliber of players they are, despite losing that first blood, are still up ahead in farm.
Yeah, and that's always really important to look at, right? Which team gets that early lead. It just shows you maybe they know the map a little bit better, playing it a little bit more efficiently. It's just going to make it harder and harder for Random Team Name as this game goes on. Whatever leads they get, you know the GG is going to be able to close it up without really having to extend a whole ton. A successful buff invade there from the Ymir, but Ymir's low on health. Ymir might fall on this one.
Not a successful survival, unfortunately, with a few more slashes. That's that Ice Sculpture taking its head off real quick. Albi does go down in trade thanks to adapting, and Disco Fairy's next. Unfortunately, no one left to dance on this body count because that's going to be the Loki swept up right afterwards. It's a 3-for-1. Cannot say Random Team Name are feeling too good about that trade.
Not a successful one this time around. That was a really nice ultimate there from Dardes in the mid lane, stunning out that on her, getting that kind of consistent big damage down early. Definitely a good move in that fight. And the target selection, I think that's the right phrase from GG there. Really strong. A lot of times in those big 3v3s, you can see people kind of, going for different targets, doing their own thing, but no, everybody on GG on the same target at the same time. Really nice fight there from them. And only losing one, they get the buff invade. There's really not a whole ton of negative you can say about that. Just clean cut, good fight.
Yeah, you lose your support, so that's A-okay by us. Now about 5 minutes in here, 2-3. In favor of GG. Gold as well, only about 1,000, but of course these players know how to take an inch and make it a mile. KingFsher, we gotta talk about the mental game here. We talked about the soaring accelerations there you gotta be feeling after that first blood. Now, reality's starting to hit. Oh, we're playing against adapting. What's the best way Random Team Name can keep their heads in the game and keep up ahead? Uh-oh, might be needing to stay alive. Albi unfortunately cannot do so. Cozy takes him down.
I mean, I think one of the big things has to be just try to play it like a normal Smite game, because you can like kind of go up against these players and I mean, I don't know, you're gonna be nervous, you're gonna be overthinking, you're gonna try to do everything perfect. Just gotta treat it like normal. I mean, easy to say from here though. We're not the ones having to play up against adapting Nika, Dardes, so definitely a little bit different perspective. Gold Fury taken down early by GG, and I gotta say, one of the best changes about Smite 2, this Gold Fury is now so impactful at all levels of games because of the new passives. Uh-oh, and Thanatos might not be active any longer, but gets to the skies.
Even with the Jetstream on him, it's not going to finish the job. They decide to just retreat. They do not want to test their luck here. Random Team Name continuing to try to push this advantage, recognizing they have the numbers game on their side. But do you have the skill diff? It seems that they might be in a bit of trouble here as Ymir walls off their escapes. The Neath ult going to find the back of the Bacchus. That guy is blubbery and is going to be able to take that one just fine. So at the very least, didn't sacrifice any lives for the claim, but you couldn't quite find anything to make up for losing that objective.
Not quite for Random Team Name. Luckily, though, Gold Fury will be back up soon. You're going to have another chance. Neath getting aggressive on this tower, and another huge change. Those bounties just actually make it so efficient for these players to attack towers early. In the past, you would wait, really, until you have a full team. You can take the tower down fully. But I think now we're going to see a lot more aggression, specifically on these tier 1 towers early on. Going to really open up the map, and Bacchus might be opening up to the grave here. 2 levels behind on this Ymir, but Ymir, without a blink, not going to get too aggressive here.
Adapting, in the meantime, does dive deep to find that kill in the midst of the tier 2 tower on the Loki. Unfortunate, and now this tower is going to be torn into sawdust. Excellent work by GG to just keep up this pressure, and we're seeing it now across all the lanes. There's just been no map pressure here from Random Team Name. Even with that first blood, it was clean, it was simple, it was inside the confines of the lane. They haven't gotten to push those boundaries further. They're always seeming a bit nervous when they take a step across the boundary of the field.
little bit hesitant to say the least. Shock here with a nice ultimate, gonna get some silences out, and GG not gonna dive the tower for this one. Did see him adapting, still close, still looking aggressive over there on the right-hand side, but it's just gonna be sped underneath the tower there. Trying, still fighting, staying aggressive, and on the other side, Ymir with a nice wall before adapting. Finally takes down the shot, gotta think maybe could have backed a little bit earlier to avoid that death.
Yeah, with this team not diving the tower, it's a suggestion. It's certainly by no means a binding agreement. They feel very much liberal to do so, and with the kill count the way it's going, you can't quite blame them for it. So, let's take a look here. We got to pause here now, 8 minutes. Not an actual one, but just mentally. Reset. Try to reestablish your grounds. Inhale, exhale, random team name. What's their way as far as their team comp? What does it allow you to fight through to ensure yourself the W?
I mean, to me, it has to be the assassins, right? I would say the junglers, but of course, you know, they do have the Susanoo playing there in the mid lane, so it's really those two assassins. The Loki and Susanoo should be huge parts of your game plan. You know, Loki can do a lot of damage when on their own, when unchecked. Same thing with Susanoo. If you don't account for those two, they could just cause massive damage for GG, so they're definitely going to have to be watching now. But a 2v4 is not the right situation to step into, and they might be in some trouble here.
Archie, unfortunately, going to be the first one to fall, and it might be Susanoo right afterwards. They recognize how useful those assassin characters are. Going to try to take them off the mark first, but thank God Susanoo's got those 3 dashes. They're just fine. Unfortunately, having to watch Bacchus fall for trade. Albi puts their life on the line. Susanoo can only watch, cowering from a distance.
An unfortunate turn of events there for Random Team Name. Just stepped a little bit too far, and they might have again on her by their own tier 2. Might not get out of this one alive. Great ultimate from the Soul. Indeed, CC immunity doesn't mean damage immunity. Darda is going to get the credit for that one.
Nice Neath ult there just to be globally aware, ensure that kill goes down, not letting anything slip out of our fingers so far. Not trying to let this shock slip through either. It might be the god of the rain. Does not mean you can slide on out of this backline, buddy. You're in trouble. Hovering Death just waiting for the last vestiges of damage. Nika takes that one off, and Sped speedily goes down.
A little bit unfortunate there. So close to getting that Axe teleport away. Might have gotten back to that tier 2 tower, you know, if we're being hopeful. But unfortunately, just not the way it goes. Gold Fury started yet again for GG here. So should be able to take this one down fairly easily, and they are. Darda is with that one. And of course now, we were saying it earlier, but the Gold Fury now so impactful with all the buffs, all the sieging potential gives you. And we see it here. Tier 1 towers across the board have now fallen, with Bologna taking out the last one on right.
10 minutes here.
No, on
2 to 10. Might be 2 to 11 in just a moment. The freeze falls up with that stellar burst. So much damage, and Vaporish Coast going to quickly put an end to Disco Ferry's life. 2 to 11 now. And we know that just based on the caliber of player, the pedigree, they're going to be playing defensively for Random Team Name for quite some time. Unless they try to go offensively on a lone Neath. Good damage already. Forces the Aegis though, and this kill is taking just too much time. It will still go their way. Minokino takes it down onto Dardes. Some good revenge for the on her prior. Could be Thanatos in a bit of trouble. Has no issue retreating back. Soul in the meantime takes down that tier 2 on the left side. Ymir with the gang just trying to find anyone they can to set up for adapting. Bacchus floppuses their way back to that mid-tier 2 without any issue. So Random Team Name take themselves a nice kill. Unfortunately, can you keep it without dropping any of your own? Bologna with that bludgeon does 3/4 of Loki's life. Bologna gets pulled back in though, and that could be a bit of an issue for you. A nice Storm Call finds 3. Intoxicate finds 2. The damage is true, but is it enough? You've dropped your kit, and the shards of ice are dropping on you instead. Thanatos takes to the sky. Where will they drop now? Right onto Sped. They go down afterwards. The health bars are still low here for GG, but Random Team Name are trying to push all their chips in the center. Susano's gonna go down for that bluff. A brilliant impale though pushes Bologna into the midst of the base. You got nowhere to go. They got security cams in this throne room, and the guards come in to bounce you and remove you from the premises forcefully. A nice kill here for Archie.
That's crazy how long that Bologna stayed alive. Just running at those two though in the back there. Loki and on her having a little bit of a difficult time securing it, but they do finally get it for the 4th kill of the match there. Nika unable to survive in an enemy team's fountain, which, you know, who would have known? So at least now going to be aware of it. Team GG moving very efficiently. We talked about their lead, you know, whether it was momentum based. It's not momentum based anymore. It's a 12,000 gold lead. That's a pretty large lead, you know,
Yikes.
for anyone that remembers from Smite 1. It's still a big one in Smite 2. And the fact that it's 12 minutes in, like, not to be a pessimist here, but for random team name, it's closing soon. You got a very small window here. You have to be nearly flawless in order to kind of claw this one back. Just looking at the item disparity already, it's massive.
And GG realistically also have to make some mistakes too, which they have.
Yes.
They're capable. They are human. You know, adapting might seem like a technical machine at points, but they still are made of flesh and blood, and that can be killed. The question is, if Giovanni Giorgio makes that mistake, who do they want to kill? We need to see that team focus, that target selection, like you said earlier, but it needs to come this time from order. Who should they set their sights on?
I think the obvious one for the first time at least has to be adapting, sitting at 5-0-4, you know, getting, I think, the most impactful one in terms of the kills, even for the support, you know, been active in the same number of kills there, so really high kill participation, haven't died yet, so obviously got to kind of stunt that momentum, and Thanatos as well, if left unchecked, is probably one of the most difficult gods to contend with when you're behind. It's nearly an instant death sentence, and Archie, the On-Her rather, push up to their own tier 1. How dare you? They might pay the price for it, but good CC immunity means that Dart as a ult won't be impactful.
They're looking for adapting, but quickly change sights to Soul instead. That target switch might cost them because they haven't gotten either kill quite just yet. Bacchus leaps on in, Disperse forced out as well. You might die before you can pick up the kill. Vaporish Coast does go down on her. Goes down swinging with those spears. Loki, unfortunately, falls to the swing of the scythe. They are unstoppable for adapting. Nika taking down Albi as well. That means 3 bodies in exchange for 1. Random team name. Get a victory in a sense, but it's one that involves many bodies on their side as well. Shock. Use that torrent, but instantly catches the stun. They drop the axe, but drop soon after. Adapting takes that kill.
And this left Phoenix is going to fall very shortly, and now are we going to see GG push onto the Titan room? Looks like they don't want to just yet. The kill cooldown's a little bit too short. 3 members from random team name, make it 4 now with Loki. Every spawn, so gonna see a little bit of a break, a little bit of, you know, just pulling back. It looks like they are gonna go for this gold fear here on the left hand side. Can't quite see the icon on the map, but trust us, it is there. And this should be the third one fairly easily. Bacchus is close, but this is just throwing your life away to try to go for this gold fear. I don't know if I would. Just gonna try it.
We gotta do it for honor! Unfortunately, Cozy takes it away. Had no Sunder up, which means that flop is gonna be tried to use to escape. Unfortunately, you're flopping flat on your face. Albi goes down. You gotta respect the effort at this point. Some desperate moves are under desperate circumstances, and that's gonna require some really big plays to get back in. Double kill there for the Thana, as the 3 more bodies get stacked up here. Bop, bop, bop. 15 minutes now. 5-21. It's, at this point, certainly a desperate affair, but it's never down and out. I will always say it. There's a chance to come back, but with a 15,000 gold disparity,
17.
FG on the mark. 17. Thank you, Fisher. It's gonna be rough.
Don't worry. The math genius is here. I could do it that quick. And you know, I might be wrong. It might be closer to 18 now. Vaporish Coast just solos a Chalk there, and that's unfortunate. I mean, not really bad positioning from the Chalk, but literally, what was that? 4-5 auto attacks? I don't think an ability was thrown before you're dead.
Oh, Bacchus is here though. Bacchus has got this one, don't you worry. Going in for the FG. Silenced immediately, silenced permanently. Cozy puts him down once again, and the FG goes down shortly after. You know what, I will say, luckily, having these death timers be on a short cooldown means if you get back in this, if you get downed, you're gonna be back in this quite quickly. If GG loses 1 member, they're out for probably 60 seconds.
Yeah, gonna be very low time. Unfortunately, though, GG really hasn't died a whole ton, you know, when you look at it.
Good point.
Only 5 over the course of 17 minutes, and now they're knocking on the door of the Phoenixes.
Oh, adapting.
And there are only 2 on defense here for random team name.
They're trying to suss out adapting. They've listened to your advice, Fisher, but maybe at the own cost of your entire base. Right bird gets detonated instantly, and adapting was not punished at all for their transgression. In fact, it's Loki who's now saying, I'm sorry, please. Oh my god, that scythe nearly wings him, but the sweep will certainly get them off their feet. And adapting picks up the kill on a Loki. Mid-tier 2, only inevitability as it goes down as well. Will the mid-bird be the same story?
Looks like it might be. It's just going to be a matter of time here. GG pushing down as a pack, adapting. The only one not on this bird, and it won't matter. It is falling very, very quickly. Shock ult and forced out just as early. Mid Phoenix still alive, but Dardes takes down Minakino, and Albi falls as well, adapting, looking for the godlike. Are they going to get it? Kill number 13. There it is.
Ooh, from deep, bang! Nice kill there, looking for Shock right afterwards. I love the play there from Shock to keep themselves alive. Sped immuning that Neethel. Unfortunately, though, it's just not going to be quite enough. You just have to watch from your fountain as the rest of the players take him down. Hey, almost got adapting. Wouldn't that have been a nice consolation prize? Adapting is not going to give you that luxury. Instead, you can join your friends in the afterlife. Sped gets taken out there once again. And with that, GG called GG.
You know, an unfortunate little wrinkle in the bracket there, being matched up against that team this early on. That
Don't
doesn't
you hate
feel
that?
good. No time to get their legs under them, and yeah, just ends like that. It's really not a whole ton you can say, because it's not inherently anything that RandomTeamName did wrong, honestly. I don't think they took many bad fights. Maybe besides sending the Bacchus just essentially to their death like 3 times in a row on the objectives, and even so, they were so far behind at that point that I don't think it really hurt. It was just a really good game from GG. Not anything that RandomTeamName did.
Yeah. End of the day, you're going up against some of the most threatening names in the scene, and they got first blood. If I'm RandomTeamName, I'm calling that a W. So honestly, well done to their side. They had good moments. They were really, you saw, trying to take advantage of the times when GG would step out a bit too far from themselves. Unfortunately, anytime they got 1 kill, 3 more were dropped on their heads instead. If we're just to give any advice, other than just watch adapting tutorials for RandomTeamName, what do we feel like we need to see from them to this time take them on and maybe even get the dub on GG?
Honestly, the one big thing I think, and it was something that GG was just doing insanely well, is like map rotations. When you look across the map, what's going on, like whether it was objectives, whether it was fights, every single time GG had more players there than RandomTeamName did. Their support, I think, was a little bit more active. Albi was making a lot of rotations, just a tad bit slower than Kha'Zix was. But yeah, I mean, whether it's getting your support there, getting your junglers there, for a lot of times, it seemed like GG was just better prepared, had more people, and it's going to be impossible to win if you're facing a team that's so good on rotations like that. The only real counter is to get good at them yourself. So, you know, definitely something to improve on. But for a first look, I don't think it's nearly as bad as the scoreboard says.
Certainly agree. A very respectable effort there from RandomTeamName, but it's GG who continues onward. That being said, we got more games coming up for you in just a second, so don't you dare go anywhere. More Smite in the Sewer after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Smite in the Sewer. Don't you dare be fooled by what we see up top. It is Bill's Goons stepping up here against Chase the Enemy. I'm Deelo, joined once again by KingFsher, joined once again by Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, joined once again by you, lovely people at home. Hope you're doing well. Fisher, hope you're doing well as well. How are we feeling?
It is always a good feeling when we're casting Smite. You already know how it is. Very, very excited to be here and excited for another game as well. Hoping to see a little bit more of a competitive one. After our
Yeah.
last one, you know, a little bit stacked from the beginning, to be fair, so a little bit what we expected. But yeah, maybe not the best showing of, you know, what I think more evenly matched teams can really do on the battlefield. Hopefully we'll see it this time. Susano gonna be the first ban. Didn't have a huge impact in the first game that we saw, but Susano, still a very strong god, still can do a lot of things around that map.
It's just with how quick sometimes these games can be, you don't want to let a god that can move so fluidly across the map really take advantage. And Bacchus is another one of those gods. You have that instant rush burst offensive option, just close the gap between you and a teammate or an opponent. You don't want to deal with that. So both these bans make a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the first pick makes sense as well. Fenrir and Bach is the two picks that have been incredible so far in
Yep.
this alpha, beta, whichever one we're in. I can't quite remember. But
It's
either way,
alpha.
those. Okay, ooh, thank goodness. I thought it was late to the party. But those are the two that have been running it. So, of course, Bill's Goons not going to ban that out with their first overall pick. I honestly think Chasey Enemy might have been better served not banning out the Bacchus, grabbing it for themselves. But regardless, they get two very, very strong backliners. Jingwei and Neath going to be the two off the board for Chasey Enemy.
But to follow it up, it's the Song of Ice and Fire that George R. R. Martin would be so proud of. Ymir and Soul is such aggressive dual lane. Might be very difficult to deal with, but you know what's nice? You put that in a cage, and the puppy dog is a bit domesticated. It might have a harder time getting it done, especially when it's also on a tight leash with that Ares chain. I'm liking Chase the Enemy's counter comp. Hecate and Shock are Bill's Goons' response.
Some pretty good responses, obviously. Everybody knows Sakate, very, very strong in the mid lane right now. Haven't gotten the pleasure of seeing her played in a competitive setting yet. So very excited to see what they're going to be able to do in the mid lane up against what I'd assume is going to be a Neath. You know, honestly, both these players could see play in the mid lane or the duo lane, so a little bit hard to tell, bit of a toss-up. Well, the one I'm excited to see about, Thanatos, performed so well last game on adapting. Interested to see what Dragonflies is going to be able to do with this pick. Such a high skill ceiling god. I was right, didn't even
Absolutely. And we're
Let's
wait.
go.
Oh yeah, look at that, man. C2 showing off their chops makes sense. Ability based god, you can opt to go for that intelligence, or you can opt to go for strength if you want to focus on the basics. But intelligence can be so good with that cosmic horror power scale. If you just get up to that point where you can build that item into your slot, you are going to experience a massive boost to your ability power. So we're going to find out if that is indeed the way they decide to go in terms of their itemization. Where we're going right now, though, is to the right side here of this mid jungle. Looking to try to finish off this Thanatos. Few more basics in the back could do it. Adapting, you are not. Neither kill is going to be quite found, but chase the enemy. Get chased out of their own jungle.
Chase the enemy becomes run for the enemy there early on, but you know it's going to work to their favor. No early deaths here. And this is interesting. It looks like it's actually going to be a Fenrir solo lane shock jungle. Is that a normal pairing?
I mean, jungle is nice in Smite 1, but no, I've got to say, this is actually a bit unconventional. Fenrir can be running
Okay.
support. I have not seen them in a solo lane quite yet. They have wave clear with the Brutalize when the runes are all active, so that's something to your name. That being said, I do imagine their lane clear might suffer a little bit. At least up against an Ares, it's not going to be quite as bad as showing. But what that does mean for you is you have a rotating, huge circle silence. Ymir might be silenced permanently in just a second here. Wall going to rocket jump their way back to safety, and Soul going to be just fine as well.
Yeah, you know, the more I look around the map here, the more just confused I got from the Fenrir solo. I didn't even notice it's an Ares solo instead of the Odin. So a little bit of lane mixing and matching here from Chasey Enemy. But glad that wasn't just lost in translation from Smite 1 to Smite 2. Thanatos here looking for an early gank, trying to find that first blood, but a good disapparate, a good stun won't be enough. Ymir falls for the first blood.
Unfortunately, Bill, his goons could not quite save him. Might need to hire some new help. And Fenrir trying to go aggressive to counter that thing that happened just now in the left side. Also an interesting question of, you know, when you have this Fenrir who can very much get the drop on someone, do we expect them to maybe be using these teleporters to take a little bit of a traipse to that dual lane side?
You know, I definitely wouldn't be surprised by it. Any way you can stay aggressive in this game, obviously, teleporters add a little nice bit of mobility. So yeah, any way you can get aggressive, definitely going to be a good output for that team. And already, 3 minutes in, it's looking much more even kilter than last game. Obviously, no real
Maybe just a
huge
bit.
advantage just yet. Interested to see which team is going to kind of pull ahead in front, despite that first blood, first gold bounty, chasing enemy, still behind on gold, which you mentioned at the start of last game. It's maybe a little bit worrying, not in terms of not having a lead, but it just shows that the other team is playing the map really well, farming well. Hecate looking to farm up a kill there, but good pathing from that Thanatos ensures their survival. That's going to be Dragonflies surviving another day. But yeah, like we talked about last game, it just shows that the team is farming the map well, knows the map well, so it's going to be much, much harder for Chasey Enemy if they get down here to come back in, because Bill's Goons are playing this map really well here in the early game.
Thanatos on that Google Maps path and not that Waze BS nonsense. That would have gotten them killed. If they were following Waze, they would have ran right into that Hecate, opened the gates. Gonna be just fine for it though. In fact, Hecate might be the one in trouble. Shouldn't have used Apple Maps, buddy. Gonna be open up those portals, but the beads save Thanatos the luxury of just taking some tower shots in response. Odin diving and bobbing and dodging and weaving. They're going to be able to get out just fine. Ymir, can we say the same? Survives on a sliver? No. Bill gets turned into ice shards once again, this time courtesy of the Jing Wei. Nice kill there for the carry. Just keeps up that pressure. I don't know how that Odin survived, though.
And honestly, the Ymir could have survived. I think if Bill just turned around and ran instead of trying to hit that last slow on the Jingwei, would have been out of range, might have gotten away alive. You know, it's a very big maybe, But, you know, second kill will fall through to chase the enemy.
Oh, Shock.
Now have the gold lead and now have a third kill as Shock should fall here. Yeah, can't get the teleport.
Unfortunate, man. You just got caught a bit too deep in the jungle. 4-man rotation, instantly going to bop you back. That's just not what you want to see at this point now, 5 minutes in. 0-3. That being said, Bill's Goons have farmed this map quite efficiently. Fenrir, I believe, did get that blue buff steal. As you can see, Ares not having that blue belt adorning their waist, which means that Bill's Goons not too far behind the gold category, only about 200 to their name. Fisher, we got into this game so quick, we didn't really get to talk about the game plan of each of these teams. Just looking at the comps, what does the ideal strategy look for in terms of how we operate to get the W?
I mean, I think it's pretty simple on Chase the Enemy side, at least. It's crowd control, right? You know, they got the big Ares ult, the Neath ult, of course, they have the execute, stun, whatever, like however you want to utilize that from Thanatos. And of course, Odin, you have so much CC on that team that I think they're really just going to try to kind of burn through Bill's Goons. It's going to be some very slow attacks. You know, you're going to get confirmed damage. Might be a little slower, and when we look at the other side, Soul, huge damage, Hecate, huge damage, and of course, a Fenrir to really kind of catalyze or jumpstart that whole team fight process. I don't know, I'm looking towards Fenrir to be kind of the big initiator here for Bill's Goons. I think that's the X factor. Shock and Ymir, both great gods. I don't think either hold a candle to the ways that Fenrir is able to initiate though. Oh.
Ooh, unfortunately, Dragonfly's candle gets burned out and blown out. Eduardo as well. Nice double there by Anuda, thanks to that rotation from Ymir as well. And that open the gates comes in so clutch. I think Bill's Goon strategy is just we find a target and we tell them, take your hands off the controller. You're not going to be moving for quite some time. Between the Ragnarok, the freeze, the open the gates, there's a lot Bill's Goons can do to make you not move. Going to be seeing it right here. Bill takes that Fury down, also gets the nice freeze, gets the rocket jump as well. And Aim Blue gets the kill onto silly Kevin. You silly Billy, don't try to contest this Fury. Bill's Goons showing some force as they even up the kills and get an objective to their side. Fenrir wants a bit more, grabs himself a nice little chew toy here. I'm not sure if Ares quite appreciates that. Says, leave me be. I am a human, not an object. Unfortunately, might be the object of this guy's affections. Fenrir not going to be able to find that last basic, though, which means the solo survives.
And already can see the mystical melee are really paying off for the Ares, you know, able to withstand all of that Fenrir's assault. And Fenrir, only with that Devo's Gauntlet online, so maybe not the most power in the world. A little bit rough, but you know, that's the way it goes. Soon we'll have enough damage to put that Ares in the dirt. Looking across the map now, one Queen Naga has spawned here, so Bill's Goons might be able to pick that one up early if they want to here. Is on their side of the jungle, and I believe they have two over there right now. Soul push very far up. No wards, no problem though. Bill's Goons not in any danger there on the left-hand side of the map.
The changes for the wards are on the horizon, with wards returning back to their former glory of 3 minutes, but they're still very, very on shorts at the moment. Only 60 seconds, I believe. So wards not really a primary investment a lot of players are making, even if they are liable to receive a gank as a soul might be. Shock gonna unfortunately put the gank instead on Chase the Enemy, but hey, countered right back. Thanatos comes on in, evades the silence, tries to silence Hecate, can't quite find the portal thanks to that nice beads. Unfortunately, can't quite find the kill either. Means that Hecate, as well as Thanatos, going to stride back to their sides with still life possessing their body. And we see the same here for the Jingwei. Knocks up the soul. Fortunately, might get knocked around themselves as well with that supernova. Neath ult incoming. Airstrike as well. And that arrow to the heart means Zara goes down.
Great teamwork there from Chase the Enemy, and it's going to be Eduardo picking up the kill for that one. Really nice job by the Jingwei, just kind of keeping Soul there long enough, you know, and getting up into the air as well, making sure they stay alive. I love that. Not getting greedy for the kill, not trying to just weave one more auto attack in there. Let the teammate take it, you know, be happy with the assist. Now going to get a little bit of lane pressure off of it. or at least, you know, theoretically should. So we'll see what happens on the left-hand side of the map. The Queen Naga taken very, very far away. JC Enemy trying to get that one, but it looks like Bill's Goons are going to pick it up. So buff goes over to them. Think onto the chalk there.
Ymir actually is going to be the one to pick that one up around their waist, but that's A-okay. Shock's got some other fashion around them. They got that nice red buff around their pocket. And, you know, I gotta say, the Shock Jungle's been doing a pretty solid job. Fenrir solo, unfortunately, can't quite say the same. Gets sundered, gets the chains in flames, gets killed. Klino gets wiped off.
Yeah, I think like you said, I don't think the Shock Jungle is too bad. I think the only reason I don't like this pairing is I don't think Fenrir solo is as strong. Might have to hold that thought though, because there is somebody in trouble here in the mid lane. Odin, very low in health. The rest of the team might not be able to follow though, but good portals and a better kill. They will. Bill gets that one back onto the board after those few deaths.
Ooh.
Looks like Thanatos trying to close it out and will.
When Dragon flies, when Thanatos flies, you run or you die. And unfortunately, second option is going to be what they take. Now back in the dual lane here. Soul underneath that pressure once again. Use that Stellar Burst to force the back from Jingwei. Just gets a bit more space for themselves. Shock make the rotation. Trying to look. They know this purple timer is up. Trying to force the issue. Thanatos makes it a 2v1. Shock not quite liking those odds, but still going to try to put up a show of force. Storm Call finds some decent damage. Neathult once again, this time on a different target. Soul rejoins the fight, only to eat an arrow to the heart once again. This time, at the very least, not going to eat the death for it. Hopefully. Thanatos, though, trying to change that real quick. Gets a nice death scythe on their mark. Persistent Gust does some decent damage. Odin makes the leap on in. Gunger's Might finds the stun. Disapparate starts channeling. Means that they're going to be immune for a bit. And that allows the cavalry to come pouring in. 4-man rotation here. Thanatos has already left the scene. Says, I want no part in this. I didn't do anything. Womp womp. Zara takes down the Jingwei. Odin now fleeing the scene as well. Have to decide which target you want to dedicate to, but unfortunately that wall is a bit off the mark. Ensures Odin's going to be just fine.
Odin will live from this one. It's going to be one member just recalling there. You know, Hekate doesn't want to get too aggressive. Maybe they do going to the other side of the map. Yeah, Ares might be in trouble here on the horizon. Fenrir has ult in pocket, and a nice ultimate from Ares, but feeds out or immune by the Fenrir rather. Hekate should get good damage, should find a kill onto Ares, and indeed they do. A nice one by Aim Blue.
Condolencia Zoila Gaulina. That means you're dead as well. I love the way that Fenrir just keeps the Ares in his mouth. Even the open the gates can't quite take him out of my jaws. But that just goes to show that Bill's Goons, again, it's that take your hands off the keyboard strategy. You're not playing the game at this point. I've selected you. You are my target, and that means you are going to the gray screen whether you like it or not. And that means tower's going down whether you like it or not as well. 12 minutes. 6-6. Very even game in terms of the kills. Fisher, the gold's not quite the same. Not 14,000 differential at the very least, but still. 3,000 to Bill's Goon side.
Yeah, you know, still a pretty sizable lead. You know, it's 12 minutes in, so it's nothing insane. Closing in on 4,000 at this point. It's not worrying yet. It's just the fact that it's there that might be a little troublesome for chasing enemies. Some nice damage landing. Hekate really starting to flex her muscles here in the mid lane. And chasing enemy, gotta do something to stop that. It's not a pressing need, but it's just gonna continue to grow if we're not careful. I think we mentioned around 4 minutes just how big of a deal that could be. Odin narrowly escapes danger. No ward, all instincts in avoiding that one. A nice leap away there.
Yeah, that Ymir freeze being a bit off the mark costs them the potential for that kill. Shock says, hey, there's always a chance. When Dragon flies, gonna go down there. Zara takes that kill. Fenrir makes that rotation that we were expecting before, and we're seeing how impactful it can be. Doesn't matter what lane you're in, Ares, a Ragnarok still hurts. Solo or duo, either way. And here comes a second member to try to put the pain back on ya. No escape gonna pull him back into tower, but that's where they already wanted to be, buddy. Not sure it's gonna save you. Storm calling a few more basics mean. Another Nuda gets another kill there. Killing spree for the Shock.
Nice one for the Shock, and we're seeing Bill's Goons kind of pull ahead even further here in terms of gold. They get the Gold Fury as well, their second of the game. We talked about last matchup just how important the Gold Fury was. Allows you to siege those towers, really kind of kind of put the works on them. You know, get aggressive, stay aggressive inside those towers. It's gonna do the same here for Bill's Goons. Already taken out 2 of the tier 2s, and like we said last game as well, with those gold bounties, there's so much more incentive for these teams to get aggressive onto these towers early, to build their gold leads. If I'm Bill's Goons here, it's only 14 minutes in, I'm already thinking of grouping up, starting to siege these towers. The XP gain is a little slower than in Smite 1, it seems at least, you know, being 14 minutes in, only have 1 player in the lobby level 14. I don't think that matters as much though. I'd love to see this team group up and start getting aggressive. Queen Naga started. Queen Naga though in a lot of trouble here.
Queen Naga, no! Trapped in the cage. It's the reptile exhibit that you never expected to see. Seems like Bill's Goons expect to get another in their pockets. Haven't had any issue with that objective so far. In fact, the objective game has been all their way, as you said. Not only does that Gold Fury give you that tower advantage, but as well, a speedy way to get out of Fountain, a bit of more movement from the respawn or from the base, and that's really nice when you're up against a Jingwei. When you're up against these gods with very, very mobile respawns that can just easily, rapidly reincarnate back to the field. Warhorn goes down to Bill's Goons. You know I'm a big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of the aggression we're seeing here across the map. You can see they're just sussing out, looking for areas to take one toe out of line.
Yeah, and here comes the Thanatos to put him back in line. Soul getting aggressive on the Jingwei. Gonna have to fall back though. Silenced out by the Thanatos. Side misso. That's a big damage ability off the mark, and Jingwei is gonna pay the price. Zara takes down Womp Womp. Killing spree for the Soul, and a nice job after an unfortunate miss there by Dragonflies.
Aries going back into the mouth of the Fenrir. Not a place he likes to be. He says, man, please just take a mint or something. How about a tic-tac? And another tack of damage. Zoe Lagolina goes down once again. Tier 2 now up for the mark here as Tier 1 on the left side falls as well. Bill's Goons really lengthening these leads in this long and short lane. Both the sides having a bit of an issue. Here comes the bomb from the Odin. Here comes the boom from the Fenrir. Leaps right back in. Says, you sure about that decision, buddy? Shards of Ice charging up. Odin takes a few hip hops out. Actually manages to get out of the Shards of Ice before they detonate and save their life unless a few more claw swipes do the job. Bill finishes off the kill there on Silly Kevin. Rotation here from the Neath, not going to do too much. Unfortunately, came a bit too little and a bit too late. Soul's already taken down this Tier 2 as well. Looking to take down Jingwei if she steps up.
And I love the aggression from the Soul, despite being down on HP, still steps up, and Jingwei, very, very scared, getting to just turn tail and run, and for good reasoning, right? Zara's doing so much damage early on in this game. I'd hate to be the one standing against them. Definitely not envious to be in Womp Womp's shoes there. All towers now fallen. Phoenixes gonna be the next ones on the docket. Or sorry, now. Wait. Now all towers are fallen. Yeah, missed it 2 different times, but they do say 3rd time's a charm. So get to that time. Gold Fury still a little bit away from respawning. If I'm Bill's Goons here, I'm going back to base. I'm getting ready to push back out. It looks like they might be ranging towards this fire giant though.
Interesting option. Naga buffs
Aggressive.
no longer around their waist, I believe, so that means that they're just going to have to go with raw grit and determination alone. Chase the enemy. Need to do what their team name says. You can't let this FG go down for free. Unfortunately, Chalk's not intending on letting it be free. They want a life on top of it. Odin's gonna be the first one to make it through. Silly Kevin steals it away. They got a chance here. Anuda gets destroyed by the airstrike. Womp womp for you. Odin drops the cage. Soul might get dropped in a second here. Disapparic gives him a bit more time and space. Not enough though. Your clocks run down to 0. Zaro taken out there by Eduardo. Hikate in the Aegis in the pit. There's no FG for you here anymore, buddy. There's only death. Fenrir running around like a lost puppy dog gets put down by when Dragon flies for the double kill. A crazy turnaround as Bill gets wiped off as well. The Goons have been taken out. Without them, the head honcho is helpless. A brilliant fight by Chase the Enemy.
Yeah, that was, I think we called it best leading up to that. That was an aggressive decision. I don't think that was the right decision from Bill's Goons, you know, a little bit easier to say in hindsight, obviously.
What makes you think that, Fish?
You know, I have a sneaking suspicion, looking at the scoreboard, looking at the kill cooldowns. But yeah, you know, it obviously does not go their way. Gold Fury started up here by Chase the Enemy. And of course, that's a risk of it. I don't think they really needed the Fire Giant, you know? They were fine. They were ahead. They were winning their fights, taking the objectives. You don't need to go for that extra risk. And they just do. They lose Fire Giant. They lose all their lives. Gold Fury's down. 2 tier 1 towers fall. There is now a massive swing in not only gold, XP, but momentum for Chase the Enemy. That 8,000 gold lead has now been cut in half. If you're Bill's Goons, definitely, you know, hitting yourself in the head a little bit over that one. Luckily for them, though, looking at the map state, it's still very securely their way. They still have all the Phoenixes exposed. If they get a kill here, they can still start to get really, really aggressive on these structures and kind of force chase the enemy back into a kind of safe position.
You know what is nice, I will say, Fisher, about when Bill's Goons decided to make that risk? It's that it wasn't when the Ancient Fury was spawned. That third Fury was up for the mark, and now you really want to be careful. Queen Naga's been secured. That's nice for your name. At the very least, Bill's Goons have been really good at securing that one, but the FG was the real big kahuna. And that means that next time around, if you want to make that risky play, just make sure you're looking at the rest of the map state as well, because you could get all your towers and Phoenixes shut down. Left side, tier 1, gets shut down by force. Chase the enemy, trying to equalize the map state at the moment. Bill's Goons looking to make a defense.
See what they're able to do here. Thanatos into the air early on. Chase the enemy, gonna look for one. It's gonna be a nice teleport by the Shock to save themselves for now. Finally falls over to Dragonflies. Chase the enemy, start this fight out on top.
Shards of Ice charge up, but unfortunately Amir's health bar being winded down. You had a lot of good ultimates there from Bill's Goons to open the gates as well. Forces beads from targets, but doesn't force anyone into the actual tower, which is where you wanted to see him. And now Chase the enemy recognize that they still have FG on all 5 members. A wall's gonna stall, but it's not gonna stop as Odin looks to try to find their target. Ares puts the Fenrir on a leash, puts him on a nice little walk real quick. And Womp takes down that tower. With that, Chase the enemy don't want to overstay their welcome, don't want to get too risky with it. They decide to back off.
Definitely a smart call here. Don't want to get too aggressive,
no.
throw away that lead, but uh-oh, you might be throwing away Jingwei's life. They fall, and another's going to follow as well. Silly Kevin goes down as well. Bill's Goons out of nowhere come screaming back.
Chase the enemy, getting chased out themselves. Unfortunately, didn't have eyes in the back of their head, and now Ares going to be put down in just a second. The Shards of Ice, not even necessary for this one. Aim blue, aims right for the back of their skull, and Zoe gets taken down once again. 3 members. They had the right game plan. Their retreat just got snuffed out by that Ragnarok. Fenrir is so aggressive, able to pursue you to the ends of the earth. When the hounds got a scent, you best run away quick.
They're going to be looking for this Phoenix here. Might just be going for the kill, but Thanatos gets up into the air. Nice ultimate from Dragonflies to keep themselves alive. Phoenix falls, Ancient Fury up in about a minute and a half maybe. If you're as Bill's Goons now, I don't know why I keep saying Bill. I'll get it. One of these times, you know, plural. But if you're them, you do not, you don't want to make the same mistake as last time, right? If
Not
I'm
at
them,
all.
you back, you get ready for that Ancient Fury. I would not be doing a single thing on this map.
Yeah, no risks. Not anymore from either side of this map. 21 minutes now. Might be a bit of a risk there with that back. Fenrir, weren't you listening to us? Come on now. Bill's Goons have 2 kills up, 14-12. And now back on that gold lead, 7,000 to their name. So they're starting to remount that offensive with the mid-bird down. Certainly some good map pressure their way. Chase the enemy. They've seen moments of grand success. What do we need to do without Bill's Goons making a mistake? How do they still win the fight?
I mean, if you're Chase the enemy, you just have to prioritize here, and this is going to be something I'm extremely excited to see how these teams prioritize Ancient Fury versus the Fire Giant. They're both up at the same time, and Bill's Goons are doing what I think is objectively right. Get that Ancient Fury. Don't let those Phoenixes attack you. It doesn't matter if you have the Fire Giant. The Phoenix can't shoot you. And we'll see what happens on the other side here. Fenrir being looked at. The Ragnarok's still in pocket, so has a get out jail free card, and they're going to use it right now. Going to be able to walk away from this Ares, I believe. Neath stun, though, going to land. Fenrir, though, gets out of harm's way and chase the enemy. Despite not contesting the Ancient Fury, don't get on the Fire Giant yet.
That was just brilliant play there from Klino, absolutely distracting them for the entire time. Clifford the Big Red Dog has certainly paid their big dividends, and now Thanatos will use a big ultimate to escape. Drops the Ammonita just to heal up for the ensuing fight. Chase the enemy. You have to decide, do you want to fight or do you want to run? Ares can't quite figure it out. There's going to be frozen in place instead. No escape, but it's too late at this point. Zara wipes them away. Shock's following up on the back line. Might get taken out themselves. Thanatos' scythe misses wide. That means Fenrir's going back in for you. A brilliant stun from the Gungir's Might barely saves your jungle. You better be thanking your lucky stars Kevin was there.
And you know, like looking at the positives, only one falls for Chase the Enemy. It could have been worse, but now you don't get the Ancient Fury, you don't get the Fire Giant. You are now, I think, pretty securely on the back foot here. If you're Chase the Enemy, Bill's Goons just gonna go back to base, get ready for the siege. And if I'm them, I'm not wasting too much time. You know, the game's only gonna get further. Chase the Enemy are only gonna get closer in this gold deficit. There's no real sense in waiting. We'll see what they opt to do here. It's going to be a 5-on-5. Zoe Legoblina has respawned. Really hope I'm pronouncing that one right.
No, you got it, man. Perfect Spanish.
Oh, let's go.
Diddy Fluid.
Perfect Spanish. Yes, that is something I am known for.
So, chase the enemy. Now on the defensive end. One Phoenix Siege down. The next one's going to be up shortly. You can't even rely on the borders of your Phoenix to really defend you. It's more so just an aesthetic wall decoration. So chase the enemy, you've got to find a way to respond. Who do you want to take that lead foot forward in the upcoming fight? Should it be silly Kevin with the cage, or should it be Zoe with the no escape?
Ooh, I think it has to be Zoe here. I think Odin is a much more valuable tool on defense, so I would look for the Ares to be the initiator. You don't want this Odin to step too far forward and die early. Cage is a great tool, but you don't want to be dead. You can't use it if you're dead, but instead it's going to be a Shock ult that starts this one off.
And Shock's going to be the one who's dead. Other Anuda gets put down there by the hovering death. Ragnarok finds no target, gets leashed up instead. Here comes the portal. Gates have been opened, and Eduardo's skull's been open too. Kevin's got a nice resource, but doesn't matter if you're dead. Ares going to be next up on the mark. Goblin Slayer comes for La Goblina. Zara takes that kill. Only ones left standing are Womp Womp and When Dragon Flies. And you're going to need to fly awfully far and quick to get this damage going. Going to be looking for Thanatos on the right side for Fenrir. Jingwei decides to aggressively dash in, looking to try to take down the Soul, but Zara's just not having it. Soul's on the rampage. She's heating up, and Bill's Goons put that heater on the Titan. Chase the enemy, go down.
And I like, you know, the attempt of the defense, it's just not there. I think it's a little bit too much in the end, right? The Ancient Fury, the Fire Giant, and of course the 5-strong pouring into that throne room. Just a little bit too much for Chase the Enemy. That being said, it wasn't a bad game, right? They had moments, I think specifically their defense of the Fire Giant the first time around was absolutely huge. Could have turned the game around. A really nice job there. But you know, too little, too late. Bill's Goons able to open it up. And with that gold advantage too, you can really see it reflected there in the builds.
Yeah, a lot of optimization that they just didn't have for Chase the Enemy. Bill's Goons are eating good. You know, you could say what you want about the business that they conduct, but it's certainly well-paying business here. That being said, Chase the Enemy, like you said, had some good moments. Particularly, I want to give some credit there to Womp Womp, keeping that aggression on Zara, especially considering how well they ended up performing. A player that aggressive, to step up to that, at least during the laning phase, was quite impressive to their side.
Yeah, it was, and I think Dragonflies as well. It may just be the Thanatos I'm learning. I liked adapting Thanatos last game. I like Dragonflies Thanatos this game. It might just be the god, but regardless, a pretty good game out of the jungle. One of those deaths with just a garbage time Titan defense, so really 5-2 on that pick. I think did a pretty good job, you know, roaming the map, getting some kills. And of course, on the other side, it has to be said, Hecate, massive damage in the mid lane, huge here from AIM Blue. I don't know if we're able to see damage numbers quite yet, but I'm sure very high up on those charts.
And also just the only reason those bees were really needing to be used so constantly by Dragonflies and Eduardo, it was all for the open the gates. As soon as Hecate puts those portals down, you feel a sinking feeling in your stomach as you sink, potentially, into the depths of the gray screen. So great job there to cause them to fear, clutch their pearls, quite literally, as Bill's Goons continue their offensive and move on forward. That being said, don't you worry, we got more action for you in the future. We got a bit more Smite in the sewer, so don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll be right back with more fun.
Listen, man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome on back to Smite in the Sewer. We're just testing the real loyal fans to see who is really going to stick around. So, haha, fooled you if you stuck around. Appreciate you. Smoke Break versus Bill's Goons. Deelo, KingFsher, Tess in the Sky, you at home. Fisher Look at the comps, man. What are we seeing?
I mean, what we're saying is you fooled me too. I didn't think we had a game either, but here we are. I mean,
Whoops.
yeah, exactly. Whoops. It's not a ton unexpected. I'm seeing one pick that I absolutely love. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about it later, but I'm interested to see how Mordred plays. I don't think we saw Mordred in our first game of the day. We definitely did not see it in the second. I know we were all talking off camera earlier, Mordred kind of falling out of favor with the pro scene, an ultimate that, while cool, is pretty hard to utilize effectively. So interested to see what Kleino's going to be able to do with that one. And yeah, I know I said we would wait to mention it, but I'm not gonna. We have a Cernanos.
No, CERN. So, Fish, what does that CERN bring you that we haven't gotten to grace and see in these last couple games? What's the unique aspect that the Rams god of nature? What does he even do? What does he do?
He wins. No,
Nice.
that's simplifying it a little bit. I mean, I'm a huge Cernos fan, right? I'm very biased, as I'm sure many watching here know. But it's pretty good damage. It has nice CC as well, I think, for a hunter. You know, you got that big polymorph as an ultimate, a nice long dash. You have a root, obviously, if it's unchanged from Smite 1. It does a lot of things very well, and of course, a very, very cool ability in that shifting of the glaive. That being said, going up against Jingwei, gonna have a hard time. Jingwei does really good from distance, you know, is kind of at the top of the Smite 2 meta right now for a reason. Very, very powerful. But instead, it's gonna be in mid lane here against the Hecate. It's actually gonna be the Soul ADC. So, interested to see how that matchup favors the Cernos or Hecate. I think Hecate will have more raw damage.
Yeah, especially if you can get off some good open the gates. Make sure you're landing those properly. Especially if you have a nice Asano on your side, just getting those ganks off. Johnny's certainly going to be active in that mid. That being said, Odin as the jungle is certainly an interesting prospect. We've seen them go quite everywhere. Solo, support, and now ambling through that forest, try to clear out some oracles. What does it mean when your Odin is going to be the one who's alongside in the mid lane instead of the one who's just farming away in that short lane?
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a big change. Obviously, there's a lot of CC with the Odin that I think is gonna pair with Cernos very well. Of course, if you can get that cage down, the polymorph is all but assured at that point. I don't believe. Yeah, Angry, I think, does not have the purification beads, so not really going to have a way out of that unless there's some CC immunity baked into the kit. So it's going to be a nice combo, but of course, the big thing you're missing is damage. Not going to have as much. You're not going to have as much health after Johnny's done with you, but Aim Blue gets out of range of the Siphon. Nice job there from the CERN.
Just keeping their head on a swivel. Benko gets their head, taking Kleino off their body. First blood there thanks to that rotation from the Odin. Showing that presence already. The closer you can get to that cage early, the better it's going to be, because a cage that wanders is awfully scary. Just getting the crate, getting the body bag, and we're going home with you. Like you said, Hecate, fearing that option, opted for the shell. Jingwei did as well.
Yeah, the shell over the beads is definitely interesting. I'm a huge beads fan. You know, I'm still in that Smite 1 nostalgia, but there is a lot of people not building beads, and you know what? That's okay. There comes a time when we have to let go, and Smite 2 might be that time. So we'll see if that choice favors them come the long game, seeing how well they're able to avoid that CC, and of course soak up damage there with the shell.
Gonna have to find out, especially given the fact that you still have Bologna who can't really get out quite as easily. Ymir is certainly gonna have a hard time with it. Sano's got the blink, so at least there's one way to escape in ease, but it's of course one that's on a very, very long cooldown. We got to talk about the comps here a little bit more. Fisher, just early game advantage here as we start to wind down to the 4-minute mark. Who do we think's got that edge? Odin might be trying to prove right now that it's early. Nice Gunger's might could stun Jingwei right in place before they could use that persistent gust to get some distance, which means the agility not going to be quite agile enough. Ooh, the shell though! The clutch save! Jingwei on a sliver. E-Chrome gets hit in the dome. Bill takes the kill. The Goons are following it up. Ymir can't do quite too much about it. Dude's been silenced, shut up, put in his place. Stellar Burst does decent damage and forces Smoke Break to take a break from the chaos.
Some good fighting there from the Goons means they find one with no response. Smoke Break not able to take one down. I think Johnny very lucky to get away with the life there. Really walked into a bad situation, but now that E-Chrome's back, it's going to favor them. Bill takes out Eye Silence, so first off. The other Anata very low on HP, trying to run away from E-Chrome, who hits one. Can they hit the second? Yes, they can. Nice kill there from E-Chrome. Aim Blue still without ultimate in the pocket now, but it won't matter. It's a stun, it's some damage, it's a kill for Zara.
And that's Susano trying to follow it right up. E-Chrome takes down Bill off the 10 from the grave. Susano now drops down that Typhoon. Zara gonna be just fine. Fans the flames real quick. Aim Blue gets a nice little CERN kill for you. Fisher's happy about that, and so are Smoke Break to try to counter that offense right back. Just stuck around a bit too long for your own good, it would seem, and it's going to result in the scoreboard being 2-5.
Yeah, scoreboard really favoring Bill's Goons here, and I'm excited to see how Smoke Break kind of play the map, because obviously, you know, this is a roster built up of SPL, SEC talent, you know, whatever you want to call it, right on the cusp there, of course, with the E-Chrome, Silenced, and Johnny. But I'm interested to see how they farm the map, because of course, if anyone remembers, the last game we covered had Bill's Goons in it as well, and they played the map really, really well. Nice farming, nice gold leads, despite one slip up at a Fire Giant. Really a pretty flawless game. And now, up against Smoke Break, they're going to have probably some much stiffer competition, I would imagine. Not that the team they played last time were any slouches, but it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be able to have that same impact, or if it's going to be mitigated a little bit by a team with more experience.
Curious to see the impact of this Mordred. You talked about it a bit before, the fact that it can be a bit underwhelming, unfortunately, especially if you're not utilizing that ultimate properly. I'm curious to see, when you have these Pursue the Weaks, are you using it flat out open face in the middle of the lane, or are you going to try to use those walls, surprise someone like a Kleena in Smite 1 with that damage? Odin trying to get the jump on Smoke Break over here on the left side, but with no backup, no other goons to follow it up. No one going to be quite paying the price for it just yet. So, Fisher, I returned back to the question, we didn't get it quite asked just yet, and I'm having it ripped away from me once more, because Akate might be ripped away from their life in just a second. The Wild Hunt follows it up, and another kill is dropped for the Odin. EMEA trying to avenge their brother-in-arms, but a bit too little, a bit too late. Nice kill there for Bill's Goons.
Very nice call indeed. And you know, while we have a tiny break, I'm just gonna forego the analysis and ask you what question did you have? What's on your mind?
Early game, bro. What's gonna go on here as we get to these first 5 minutes now? Who do you think's got the edge? And as we start to wind to the mid game, does that change?
I think it's gonna change a little bit. I think the mid game and early game probably are gonna inherently favor Smoke Break a little bit with the Susano, with the Hakate, blanking on the name there, and the EMEA, of course. Oh, very aggressive, very high damage. Once we get to that late game, though, it is so hard to ignore the pair on the other side. The Bacchus and the Soul are going to be doing heaps of damage. If I'm Smoke Break, I'm really kind of worried about Bill's Goons once they get to the end here. They've already shown they're aggressive, they can contend, they're up 1,000 gold, they're up 4 kills. I do not want to see that endgame Soul, and that endgame is going to get here a lot quicker than I think Smoke Break want it to, if Bill's Goons keep kind of farming at the pace they're going at.
And especially when you talk about the fact that Bill's Goons, as you mentioned, very good with map awareness. There's not much on the map in the early game to really take advantage with that. They have a Queen Naga, sure, but the Gold Furies come later. Same with the FGs. And that's going to be Bill's Goons' key to success. Smoke Break, trying to find the key to success with a nice little ambush on top of the Kate. Opens the gates, drops him right into the tower. That's okay, we're just here to visit. A little bit of sightseeing here in the mid lane. Susano says, take a closer look. Maybe not quite wanting to do so themselves. Johnny dashes away. Bill's Goons need a bit of poke, but no bodies in the mid.
None quite yet, you know, could be some following up if they're not careful, and it looks like the Order team's still aggressive onto the Queen Naga there in the enemy jungle. Bill's Goons forced out for now. It's going to be a full 3-on-3 here in the middle. Nice silence. Going to look to take the Naga off somewhere. Question is the rest of the team with them? Are they ready? Jingwei can help get the DPS flowing. Bacchus is here, though, and might be looking Sundering Spear in pocket.
This could be troublesome if they decide to just snap this one away. Only Bacchus there to step up. Queen Naga goes down without too much of a sound. In the pocket Smoke Break. Now going to take a break from the objectives to get some violence on those players instead. Unfortunately, at Supernova, it's a very narrow hallway to walk down. And now Silence is walking up the stairway to heaven instead. Going to be a nice airstrike from the Jingwei to get themselves back to safety. Unfortunately, you lose your duo.
Yeah, definitely not what you want, you know, but Smoke Break, despite being down 5 kills, don't let that fool you. They're only down 500 gold. It's not a lot at this stage, and they're going to be down 6 kills in just a second here. E-Chrome, without the ultimate, nowhere to go, nowhere to save themselves, but they might not have to. Look at the damage getting pumped out from the tower here. E-Chrome finally falls to Zara after a near turnaround.
Johnny trying to put that damage right back on Zara. Finish the job the tower started, and indeed will make their structure proud. Stuck around just a bit too long there. So at least get one return kill for your side. Still, Bill's Goons are deciding the pace of the game. Smoke Break need to find ways to kind of disrupt that rhythm, especially when, like you said, Bill's Goons have everything going for them come late.
Yeah, they really do, but luckily for Smoke Break, they're a team with experience, you know, they're a strong team. No matter what is kind of favored in that late game, you can't discount the players on this roster. Bill trying to get aggressive here in the mid lane, and we talked about it earlier, Bacchus, one of the best gods in the game right now, insanely strong, gonna be able to do a lot of damage. And of course, a namesake there, you gotta think, Bill's gotta step up for Bill's Goons. Has to, you know? Logo or mascot's gotta represent.
Lead by example, for sure. Bill and says,
That's the
turns tail and runs, says, you handle it, get him! And the Goons will
That's the
say,
example,
yes,
right
boss. You know what? Fair enough. You got Goons for a reason, and Odin's doing their job. Wild Hunt going to fall down as well as those open the gates. Gets one of your enemies out of your way at the very least for Smokebreak to try to get a clean retreat, but Silence is in a bit of trouble here. Hakate rotates around as well to try to back them up. That opened the gates, unfortunately, not going to save Silence from having their skull opened by Bill. Now we're leading by example. It's easy when it's a 3v1 fight, huh? Pick on someone your own size. That's A-okay, though. Bill's Goons are just happy with that single kill. Maybe look for the Jingwei now, who's unfortunately caught, maybe unawares. You gotta imagine Johnny's pinging and say, enemies incoming. It's not chase the enemy in this game, but we're certainly gonna be trying anyway. Jingwei uses that airstrike to escape. Smokebreak can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief.
Yeah, lucky there for me, Chrome, and honestly, expending an ultimate in turn for staying alive, you take that every time. If you're the players on Smokebreak, you don't want to die in this one, you're already, you know, surprisingly, still even. And I think that just speaks to the caliber of players that we have here, because last game, Bill's Goons were already doing a great job farming the map. We know they know how to play, they know how to contest, they know how to get aggressive and when to get aggressive in these lanes in order to keep an advantage. But despite that 6 kills, it's Smokebreak, 300 gold behind. 300 gold isn't anything at any stage in the game, doing a really nice job keeping this one even. And I'm a bit surprised. We've seen some early objectives and stuff, but 12 minutes in, no towers fallen, nothing looked towards in terms of big objectives despite one Queen Naga. The biggest objective right now is Ymir. Ymir's in trouble.
Just gonna stand there and look at him within the cage, intoxicate, bring your own beer, and Silence unfortunately didn't bring anything to the party except for their life to put to claim. Aim Blue does go down and trade to the Blown rotation. Typhoon sweeps up the Odin, could be in trouble. The winds of change are blowing, and another's gonna fall to them instead. Susano exits stage left, pursue the weak, doesn't quite catch him on the mark, but Klino's made the rotation as well. A few more strikes of their blades could put an end to them. Zara falls to the opposing carry. Susano, though's got those multiple dashes in pocket, gonna be just fine. Smokebreak deciding, do we go in off this? Echrome says absolutely. Hakate tries to struggle to catch up, and instead decides to turn their attentions to that tier 1. Pretty interesting fight there, had some twists and turns, punch for counter punch though. Smokebreak answered back with some nice kills.
They did. Luckily for them, that's going to get momentum flowing. They were already in a pretty good spot in this game, but you know, it always feels good to get a couple more kills on your side. Get them on their side. They do up now about 1,000 gold, so you can already see just how much that started to swing. Put themselves in a good position, but now just going to be able to make it a little bit more secure. Queen Naga should fall easily to Smokebreak. Not going to let Bill's Goons take this one away like they did with the former. So it'll be nice when they start to siege down these objectives. You know, despite that big lead, still no towers fallen. No towers under half HP. Jingwei, I think, kind of getting the first over there on that left-hand side of the map. Before Soul shows up, and Jingwei might be in trouble yet again because here comes Bacchus. No wards this time to see the support rotating in.
There is an ultimate at the very least, so Echrome's got that tool in pocket. They turn tail and flee, potentially hearing Bacchus drunkenly stumbling their way through the jungle. Not very stealthy, that one. That's A-okay. And at this point, we talked about it before. The fight from Bill's Goons is going to be very potent when they start to group up. And Smokebreak are answering back. What do we think that's key to? What do we think is the key tool they're using to actually win these fights lately up against the side of Chaos?
I think it just has to be, you know, a little bit maybe with the levels, a little bit maybe with the grouping. It's kind of hard to tell from a distance, but you know, they do have a few players that are level 14. You can't say that for anybody on the side of Bill's Goons just yet. So definitely a little bit of a level advantage looking across the builds. They're mostly even, so I think just maybe getting more comfortable. The early game favored Bill's Goons, despite kind of what the comps would tell you. But the one thing they're doing extremely well, you can see Echrome here, level 15. Keeping the soul in check is going to be the key to victory this game. The rest of these characters are pretty good, but everybody knows an out-of-control soul will absolutely end the game. Doesn't matter if it's Smite 1 or Smite 2. Keeping Zara kind of calm here in check is what they have to do to win this one. Doing a good job so far. Echrome now up to level 16, a 4-level lead in that duo lane. Really nice stuff from Smokebreak. Gonna have to bail out yet again though, because here comes Bacchus. With the rest of the team though, can afford to stick around. Tier 2 falls, Gold Fury gonna be following soon after.
With that tier 1 down, Smoke Break for themselves a bit more map pressure, and it's against the god you want as well. Like you said, Zara's been a threat. Went 9-2 on this exact same pick prior, and Smoke Break are no longer here to play passive. They take that Fury off the mark as well. You can have that gift, sure. Never mind, they can't even have that. Smoke Break say, your gold is mine. Don't you dare even try to go for that 30. As now this gold lead starting to skyrocket just a little bit. What was so short to go 300 is now 4K to the side of Order. It feels good. Klino, at the very least, answers back with that solo tower.
Definitely a good move, you know, a little bit of a respite there on the right-hand side of the map. Gonna be chased out very, very far, 15 minutes in, so Fire Giant is up, and they're gonna go for it early. This was the bane of Bill's Goons last time around. I didn't like it then. I don't know if I do now. It's a bit more of a concrete lead, but this is risky.
I mean, Bill's Goons have fallen before this in the past. They're not gonna let it happen again. Silence, though, says, this ain't that same movie, buddy. Cage gonna stall their attempt to chase them out. That was actually really well done with that Ring of Spears, and ensures that Bill's Goons, despite not getting the FG, get out with their lives. Zara gets away with a nice tower to even it up in the dual lane. Smoke Break, though, FG on all 5 members. They can start to push down these structures still.
Yeah, luckily for them, they don't lose any members either. It's pretty common, even when going for a Fire Giant early in the game, to lose a player just to secure that buff, secure that XP. Looking here across the map, Susano and Soul are going to be duking it out on the tier 2 tower in the left lane there. It's actually Johnny taking a ton of damage from Zara. That's a danger of that Soul, but this team is struggling here in the mid lane. EMEA might just sacrifice himself.
I recognize that Shards of Ice anytime. It's the I'm dead Shards of Ice. Maybe not, though. Dude counted his chickens before he hatched, and now Bill's Goons need to count their health counts because they are looking low in those HP bars. Smoke Break, have that FG, have that HP 5. They can continue to push the offensive. Seems that the magical threats no longer have taste for bloodshed. We'll just count our lucky stars that we stayed alive. Soul trying to push down this left side. Doesn't quite succeed to that extent. And everyone's going to take a little bit of a reset here. Kind of resetting the pace of the game. It's kind of come to a standstill at the moment. Smoke Break need to find their way to make a new offensive, because it's certainly them who's setting the pace at this point.
It really is, and it was a good attempt by Zara in order to try to get a tower, maybe try and get some XP, get some pressure on that left-hand side of the map. It was able to force Johnny out, actually did quite a bit more damage than the Susano, but here's where the danger lies. E-Chrome is back in lane and looking for action. Zara might be in a little bit of trouble there if the Jingwei decides to get aggressive. Just gonna back though, level 18, 17 minutes in, and I know we've talked about before, the XP gain seems a little slower in Smite 2. You know, it's not as common. We see people hitting level 20 at 20 minutes. But E-Chrome is farming this map to a T, performing very well early on here. This Naga just wants none of this aggression.
Yeah, Naga's trying to escape. The wall says absolutely not. Another objective secured there by Smoke Break. They're doing a good job. They're kind of beating Bill's Goons at their own game in terms of these objectives. And so far, they just haven't been getting the best hand of the fights either. Bill's Goons, looking across the board here at the levels, the players as this tier 2 gets winded down. Who's their best hope? Who's their MVP to fight back at this Phoenix Siege?
You know, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I still think it's Zara. You know, Soul to pick by themselves. Of course, Zara with the incredible last game, despite being not necessarily like under-leveled when you look at the rest of the team, look at the game as a whole, is doing a ton of damage. You know, despite not having full build, not being all that high up.
Oh my god, so is Jingwei! Look at that, pursue the weak immediately. Pursuing the weak or fleeing from the strong instead. E-Chrome's putting those bolts in their back. Supernova does absolutely nothing to them. They are invincible. Bill having to flee for their life. I'm the leader, I can't go down, they need me. Odin, in the meantime, just wandering through that jungle. Unfortunately, Smoke Break going to be responding, taking that nice tier 2 on the right side, and now looking for this right side bird as well. It will be up, there's no Ancient Fears or nothing, so it's going to be shooting you in the face, but Ymir's ice is strong enough to take the heat. Wild Hunt placed on the back of E-Chrome, that's just fine, and the portals are opened up as well, but no one's going to be knocking at those gates. Half health here for the bird. E-Chrome is whittling away. Amanita keeps Smoke Break healed up as well with the Naga buff dropped. That's their time to enter. E-Chrome puts 3 shots in the back of your dome. Clean almost gets cleaned off there, but manages to back off just in time. Smoke Break happy with that, though. They still got their bird for free.
Nice take there by Smoke Break still, and now I think wisely just going to back up. You know, they don't want to overplay the hand. They don't want to give away this lead they built up. 11,000 gold. I don't think what anyone would have been expecting to see from Bill's Goons after last game, to see them down by so much here in this one. And again, it seems like a broken record. They're not playing bad. Smokebreak is just playing really freaking good.
Yeah. No, not at all. It's actually very impressive how close this game feels despite you reading out that goal to me. That surprises me a bit because they're not dropping lives. They're actually playing very conservatively here for Bill's Goons. They're doing quite a good job at making sure to value their lives appropriately. Unfortunately, Anutta might just prove me wrong. They're caught in the back line with their pants down and the cage dropped. Gold Fury goes down, second there for Smokebreak. They're just going to chase this man all the way across the map, but luckily Sasano can pull him right back to him. Another kill. Drop there for Smokebreak, 7-10.
Gonna get a nice one there. Johnny getting in on the action, finding another kill in the back. Definitely a very, very good move. I'm a bit surprised they ended up taking that Gold Fury. I don't know if they're gonna need the Ancient Fury when they get to it. Just taking that means the Ancient Fury is one step closer for Bill's Goons if they're able to find that, get themselves a way back into it by pausing the towers, making some sieges. If I was Smokebreak at this stage, I maybe would have just left that one up. But regardless, we'll see what happens. It's going to help them with their latest Phoenix Sieges. Not really that they needed it, but this is going to help too. The Fire Giant is going to go down this time to Smokebreak. Bill's Goons, not close, not going to put up any sort of defense, and I don't think I would at this point.
Just going to look to rely on raw grit and determination on the defense alone, and it's key that we have all 5 members. Last Phoenix Siege, Anutta was once again taking a stroll through the back half the territory of Smokebreak, and unfortunately, Aim Blue gets caught taking a stroll in the left lane when a Sasano was walking right past. Insta-killed, and 40-second cooldown there for your favorite Godfish. I'm sure that doesn't feel good to see for Bill's Goons, and not for you either.
Not really, but yeah, Bill's Goons gonna have a tough time here on the defense without that polymorph. Great CC ability. Luckily for them though, they do have a host of other ones that Odinal used very early though. Wow, and they're not gonna get a kill out of it. Ikram takes down Anutta.
Nice job using that airstrike to not only escape the cage, but pursue the rest of the week. Shouldn't that be your job, Mordred? Klino says, I don't know what you're talking about. I got quit a long time ago. Smokebreak. We're going to try to just put the damage on this tier 2. Siege down the left side, Bird as well, and lots all happening. Winions will be pouring down the right side, so Smokebreak have everything on their side. Here comes the Eagles rally. Here comes the damage to follow it up. Looking to try to finish off Zara. They know that's their hope. That's their ember of revolt. And the embers of the Phoenix will smolder and be stamped out. Smokebreak, maybe looking for the last bird or even the end.
Might be trying it. It's a gutsy call. We'll see if they're able to make it though. One Phoenix left standing and all 5 members on defense, but Zara falls. That might be the opening here for Smokebreak.
That is rough to see. Bill's Goons recognizing that they crumble, they scatter, they don't know what to do. The mid-bird's been taken off as well, cooked up on a skewer, and Smokebreak said, we taking our breaks, now we're here for action. We've arrived to the shift, we're not clocking out, we're going overtime. Bill falls down, Aim Blue follows it up right afterwards. Klino gets wiped away by Echrome for the double kill. It's only Anutta left alive, but he doesn't want Anutta death on his record. Smokebreak take the victory.
A good victory by Smokebreak up against a formidable team. Bill's Goons had a very impressive showing in game number 2. Unfortunately, in game number 3, matched up against that kind of talent, it's going to be tough for any team to walk away with the victory. And I gotta say, I've loved what we've been seeing here today. We haven't seen a team just outright get dominated, lose the game. There has been stiff competition across the board, even in this one where it really doesn't look like it when you compare the gold, the map state. There was a ton of pressure from Bill's Goons. They had a lot of kills. They had a lot of fight. Just unfortunately, not enough in the end. I think it was 7 unanswered in the end there by Smokebreak.
Yeah, they hit the ground running for Bill's Goons, and then they got hit by a crowbar on both knees. A Goon came back for them. And unfortunately, they were left paralyzed in their tracks. Smokebreak just kind of ran it from there, getting all that map pressure that we expected to see from Bill's Goons. Our expectations were completely subverted, and the game as well. I think, unfortunately, what we needed to see was, you mentioned it, how valuable that Odin cage was. Oftentimes in Nutta, when we needed them most, our hero wasn't there to answer our prayers.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I mean, granted, at that point, there was so much momentum on the side of Smokebreak. It'd be difficult to tell if the Odin cage, would have been the alpha in that late game fight. Would it not have? only time can tell, maybe somewhere in an alternate reality, another drops a cage and then they get a pentacle and just end the game. Yeah. But, we'll never know in
Maybe
this one,
far
unfortunately.
away, or maybe real nearby. And hopefully, real nearby. Gonna be some more games coming at you in just a second. That's all we got for you right now, but don't you worry. More Smite in the Sewer action coming at you in just a moment after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to some Smite in the Sewer. We're here mucking around, playing in the puddles, having a grand old time as we get to semifinals for this Founders Series. Smoke Break stepping up after some nice time in the spotlight on the stream, up against Tythonic. And I'm Deelo, here to bring you the action alongside KingFsher, alongside Tess Almighty Eye in the sky as Fenrir and Bacchus get banned out. KingFsher, how we feeling on in?
Feeling good after seeing those two banned. We've talked a lot about just how overpowered those two are. It'll be nice to see a game where we don't see at least one of them, give the other pick some time to shine. It looks like Jinwei is going to be the one. I'll admit, I'm a little surprised Soul wasn't the top lock-in. I know how good Bacchus and Fenrir are, but honestly, I've been the most impressed by Soul today, bar none. I think that pick has been incredible. Only see it lost last time, I believe, when we saw there in game number 3, it had a little bit of a rough time. Bill's Goons weren't quite able to pull it out, but even so, the Soul did pretty good, even in that loss. It's going to go to the other side with the Neath, and we said it once, we'll say it again, that is a scary backline to contend with.
For sure, it's a lot of safety with the separate as well as that backflip combination. But you're not going to be safe from the many dashes of Susano. Can very easily try to pierce and pervade that backline, even if they use their escapes. Bologna going to try to rally the front lines with that flag and try to put them back in their place. So you have already these comps stacking up quite quickly. Ares locked in here as well here by Tythonic.
Yeah, seeing a pretty traditional comp, I think, from both sides. The Hecate definitely going to be interesting. I'm a really big fan. We said it a lot. Does a ton of damage. Performs very, very well in the mid lane. Would expect Hecate to be going up against the Neath there. I think Soul has seen a little bit more play in the long lane, over in that dual lane. Shock Bologna, also a tale as old as time. Worth mentioning, we've seen a little bit of very solo, but with the Bologna here, I seriously doubt it's a Bologna support, so I would expect to see a traditional kind of warrior lane there.
Absolutely, and hey, Fisher, not quite your favorite guy in the game, but one that you've certainly had a favorite for today. Thanatos, locked in here by Tythonic, which means, as my friend Spooky would say, it's a bit of a feed or famine pick. Hopefully not going to be the former or the latter in terms of starving or famining. Hopefully going to be eating nice and good here. Means Tythonic, with this Soul as well, and even the Neath too, have a lot of good early pressure to try to snowball.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of these picks that once they get aggressive, they do not give the edge back. Neath can get really ahead. Soul can get ahead. Bologna can get ahead. Ares can be very, very pressing from ahead. A lot of damage to contend with. A lot of CC from a support. And Thanatos, of course, doesn't even need to be mentioned. That guy can do so much when they have a lead, when the other team has to turn on their heels. Probably no better god in the game, at least in Smite 2. Maybe not in Smite 1. Probably a few better. But Thanatos, very, very strong. On the flip side, if I'm Smoke Break, I'm leaning on the backline here. Ymir, Shock, Susano, they're all good, but Hecate and Jinwei is where this game is going to be won or lost.
And yeah, that is that Shock being locked in here. Do we expect this to be a Chungle once again? Susano taking to that solo lane? We've seen Stranger Things before, Fish. Where do you expect these two to amble?
I'd still expect a Susano in the jungle. I think for the simple fact, I don't think Shock can match the pressure of a Thanatos in the jungle, neither for rotation nor just pure raw damage output. And Susano, for what it's worth, the Susano games we've seen today haven't been incredible. I don't think it's the pick, though. Just maybe some people struggling a little bit in the early days of Smite 2. But yeah, I think Susano, Thanatos, Shock, Bologna is certainly a better matchup for Smoke Break.
Absolutely. So I'm glad to see that they're really keeping that threat in mind. Thanatos being the bottom lock is interesting. They're really showing confidence that, hey, no matter what, Tythonic have confidence in their jungle. Ice Baby going to try to put the rest of Smoke Break on ice instead. So hopefully going to be making good on that. If you're going to leave that as your last pick, you're saying, we have confidence in our player. No matter what god they pilot, they're going to get the job done.
Yeah, yeah, piling in a pretty good shot, or a pretty good god, you know, as I try not to stumble over my words there. Gonna be able to do a significant amount of damage from the jungle.
And now we're off to the races here. Smoke Break up against Tythonic. Johnny standing against them bravely with his sword, coolly, calmly, collectively over his shoulder, uses that jet stream to get out to safety. Tythonic just trying to scour the remains of the jungle to see if they can find him. Ymir goes in aggressive. Gets that Sunder, gets that steal. It's the invade meta we all know and love, or maybe even hate if you're that Thanatos. A nice invade there by the support.
Good job by the Ymir setting the tempo early, you know. Don't give an inch, don't let this other team have anything. And I gotta say, we were talking about last game when we saw Smoke Break taking on Bill's Goons, how it was going to be a more competitive match. I think this is the first one we've spectated where there are actual, like, ex-SPL, SEC players on both sides, so definitely going to be interesting seeing which one of these teams has adapted sooner. It was a really nice game number 3 from Smoke Break. I'd certainly expect them to come out with the hot hand here, but that being said, I think I like Tythonic's draft a little bit more.
As far as the game plan goes here from Tythonic, they definitely have those tools to just keep up that pressure early, which is why Smoke Break are kind of trying to take away those embers. They're trying to make sure that you can't give them too much kindling early. Thanatos without a speed buff cannot nearly have a chance to out-rotate Susano, and we're seeing this already. Susano's in the mid lane just showing a bit of pressure, a bit of face here for this Neath. Neath versus the Hecate matchup's an interesting one, Fisher. Walk me through who he thinks got the edge there.
You know, I think I would inherently give it to Hecate. I think Neath is really good, but to me, the wave clear, the damage from Angry, especially once they start to get some of those damaging items online, it's just going to be too much for Neath. Neath doesn't necessarily have the highest health pool. I mean, to be fair, neither does Hecate, but maybe a little bit weaker wave clear, you know, maybe not as much boxing potential, and it's actually going to be AIC without the boxing potential. Very low on health, but that Disapparate going to get them out of harm's way for now.
Ooh, the flames being turned right back on you. Thanatos throws the scythe into Jingwei's back, who eats it for the support. Gotta love supports getting supported by their carries. Instead, the first blood falls on the solo side. Johnny picks it up thanks to some assistance from their shock. Beautiful work by Smoke Break. They keep themselves safe on the left. Attack on the right.
Attack gonna be the name of the game in this one. In mid lane though, both still pretty even, you know, 4 levels apiece, so haven't really seen a concrete lead emerge yet. And like you said, asking which one's going to have the upper hand, that's definitely going to be a role to keep an eye on. The one I think that isn't going to be is solo lane. This is a very Smite 1 solo lane.
Uh-oh. Very unfortunate dual lane. If you are that soul, could be in a bit of trouble, as the going to be able to get back out. So will Ymir? No, not quite. Flames are enough to take him down, but the winds blow out the flame, the candle of life that stands for Alcy. Kalas goes down too. The dual lane's been wiped out. Thanatos makes that rotation. Too little. Too late. This is what happens when you get set behind. This is what happens when Ymir steals your speed buff. They just can't quite catch up.
Yeah, already 1.5, closing in on 2 level lead there for Johnny in the jungle. Definitely doing a nice job early ice ice, like you said. Just a little bit slow on the rotate, not quite able to catch that one out in time. That's alright though, gonna be plenty of time. Smoke Break up to a very nice lead, 1.3k, 3 minutes in, make it a little bit more as Johnny finds ice ice in the jungle. Jungle on jungle violence right there, a nice kill from the Susano. And it's closing in on 2,000, almost 4 minutes in. Really nice here from Smoke Break. And if you're Tythonic, you got to find a way to answer it back. We saw last game up against Bill's Goons, a team that was very, very strong, you know, with their gold lead, with farming the map, just how big a lead Smoke Break was able to take. And that was behind from the start. If they're ahead from the start, I don't even want to imagine what this lead can balloon to in, say, 10, 15 minutes.
It's already 2,000 gold here, 4 minutes in, 3 kills up ahead. We just saw the entire jungle get stripped by Smoke Break. They smoked out the speed, and that's how they got that kill. They knew that Thanatos would be desperate for that just bit of a boost in their movement speed, and unfortunately, Smoke Break gave him a kick back in the ass instead, and then followed up on the purple. So they're just going to continue to slowly squeeze, constrict the life out of Tythonic. It's getting Pythonic out here, the way they're just slowly wrapping around them and getting them gasping for breath. Tythonic, what's their way back in?
You know, it might seem like a little simple to say, but just got to farm the map. The lead, while it's pretty big at this point for Smoke Break, 3,000, That's a lot for 5 minutes in this game. You can't let it get bigger, whether that's through kills, whether it's through controlling the map. Even if you can't quite close it, you can't let that get bigger. 3,000 is already a lot, but once it hits 10, 15 minutes, if we're still at that same number, I don't think it's a bad spot for Tythonic. It's too early in this game to worry about objectives. You just got to worry about gold, and right now you're going to give up a little bit more of a lead. Typhoon, though, leaves 1 HP on the Bologna. Nil, lucky to be alive. Wow, that's unfortunate for Johnny.
Johnny, get the Warhorn. You can still get something here. Get the Warhorn. If you leave that thing alone, I will be so genuinely upset right now. Johnny, ignoring the Warhorn. This is the cost of being a Smite 1 loyalist. You just do not recognize the fact that the Warhorn is important. And unfortunately, Johnny's going to let it go as it's called in. Benko going to be calling back into home. They get taken out. Silence follows that with a kill for trade onto Collis. Hovering Death going to find no targets. Instead used for safety to reposition. Johnny going to be in trouble. So could Neath. Backflip expended. Hits the wall instead. Johnny finishes up Emmanuel. And now it's going to be Thanatos just trying to flee their way back to safety. Bologna going to rush to meet them with their open arms. Spell Eater, though, hits him in the face. And now Nil is not going to have much other than Nil in health in a second. Open the gates, brings them back in. Wind Siphon even closer, but could be closer for Sasano. They almost got eaten up them themselves. Ice gets put on ice. Nil follows it up. Smoke Breaker on a tear.
They are, and this is what you're worried about if you're Tythonic. This is what you're expecting if you've seen the last game here. Smoke Break opening this one up strong. We talked about the levels last time. We're going to mention them again. E-Chrome on this Kingway doing a nice job. And last game, keeping the soul behind was so important to that victory. They're doing the same thing here. AIC not quite able to get a lead down. You know, just now starting to build those Devos stacks. And you're at a 2-level deficit. It doesn't necessarily feel bad if you're soul. You're always going to have some impact, but it is not as impactful as if you're ahead. And this is a massive rotation. They're going to bring 4 people over to try to shut down E-Chrome. EMEA should spot it out, though, and the Jingwei should get out of trouble fine here, still with Ultimate in pocket.
That's the thing. Ultimate's still in pocket. Every single time that a Jingwei gets put under pressure, and it's oftentimes E-Chrome being the one piloting it, you just use that Ultimate, and you're safe. And that's a lot of time expended. A lot of resources expended. A lot of levels that Zani has above Ice because they're taking their time and using it with efficacy. 3 levels up on their opposition. We talked about at the desk, Fisher, how important it is to get this Thanatos up early. What do you do as Ice now that you've fallen short?
I think you just gotta farm. You're really not gonna get a whole ton of kills this under-leveled. It's not necessarily a huge deal if you're under the enemy jungler, but you're under everybody on the other team by at least 2 levels. And wow, the deficit might continue to grow. Johnny there with killing Emmanuel, unless I can get the execute here. Doesn't look like the Susano's in that range, though. Unfortunate for Ice, ultimate, not gonna find any value. But yeah, you have to farm. Unless they get into that threshold, you are not going to find anything down 2 levels. Even on the support, it's going to be rough sledding until you can really close that gap. And the way to do that is just by farming.
Farm is the key, but the issue is Ymir just keeps taking it away instead. And we're seeing just like the way they parade through this jungle like it's their very own, looking for this Naga potentially next. That's ambling down the left side. No, we're just going straight for the whole enchilada. Smoke Break. Going to look for this Fury. Tythonic. Can't step up. Doesn't quite matter too much to their side. Hey, Smoke Break get a Warhorn too. They're on top of everything. Now 8 minutes in. 9-2. 8,000 gold lead. It's a rough start here.
It is. It's definitely not the one they were hoping for. But, you know, you've said it a couple times already today. We'll certainly reiterate it. You can come back. It's not over.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know, just settle down. But yeah, the gold lead is pretty big. That's a problem right now, right? It's not 9 kills to 2. You're not worried about that. It's the fact that it's a gold fury 8 minutes in, that it's 8,000 gold 9 minutes in. It's just going to keep growing and growing. We talked about, I think, the 5-minute mark. It was 3,000. We knew they needed to stop the growth. That has not happened. It is doubled in the next 5 minutes as well. It's really kind of gotten out of hand quickly. And now from Tythonic, you're looking at, this isn't a simple thing as do you stop the gold lead and eventually you even out. You actively have to do something to get it back in your favor. And right now it has to be kills, because looking at the map, it can't be objectives.
And looking at the itemization, they're all stacking up still. They haven't nearly reached their full power. Jameer's going to make you pay for it potentially. Collis takes some easy poke there from the Ice Giant. So happy to see Ymir just shining in this meta. I mean, partially because they just don't have many options. Don't have many options to escape. That's okay. I'll go forward instead. Walled back in. The freeze off the mark. Hovering Death in the sky. Will that aim be true? Decides to opt once again for safe positioning, just not feeling confident in their ability to dive. Do we think that was too much hesitation, or was it the right call?
It's difficult to say, obviously. Don't want to give anything up at this stage in the game. Uh-oh, and wow, that's a good ultimate. Callus brought back in Angry, getting the kill there. That doesn't feel good. You know, Ares is supposed to be the one pulling people, not the other way around. A little bit of role reversal, and Johnny takes out Ice Ice for, I believe, the second time here in these junglers matching up. Tier 1 tower in trouble here in the mid lane, still fairly tanky. Of course, we talked about it a lot. With those new gold bounties, just benefits his team more and more to get aggressive early on. Johnny's here, Eye Silence is tanking, that's going to be a dead mid laner. Emmanuel falls, nobody dies, and wow, Smoke Break can do no wrong.
Your tower is not safe. This is not a game of tag in elementary school. You can't just touch the structure and say, hey, safe zone. No, Smoke Break do not abide by those rules. Ecro does not abide by the rules of their own territory. They're over here by the tier 2. No one around them, and now Tythonic recognizing that, trying to wind the noose around their neck. Ares waiting for their chance to enter, but Soul's hanging back a bit too far maybe to capitalize once those chains land. Thanatos also trying to look for their time to enter. Here it comes, the Scythe off the mark. Bolts as well, that's okay. Airstrike to get them a lot of space and safety. Tythonic, again, a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of manpower, nothing to come from it.
Looks like Echrome trying to step back up there on the left-hand side of the map, but the more interesting engagement going to be in the middle lane. Tier 1 tower about to fall here for a Smoke Break. They get a kill off of it. Angry picks up onto Emmanuel. Eye Silence might fall, but here comes Akate. It's going to spell the end of the engagement. One kill and make it a second. Johnny takes down Nil over on the right side.
This Amanita that the Ymir has, Fly Amanita, is going to be so useful to keep them in fights. Obviously not very mobile, this god, but that's okay. You have this active item that just heals your entire team so much on a 60-second cooldown. It's such a great tank pickup, and it's the reason why you can still stand confidently half health even though you're in a mobile Ymir. Towers falling left and mid as this are trying to keep moving it forward. Right side as well, no escape. Drops down, pulls back in the Susano. That's A-okay. He had that nice shield on him thanks to the Hecate. Could be a bit of trouble there. Comes the Scythe, comes the chains as well. Spell Eater falls on top of the Ares' head. Neathold incoming. Wait a second. That's going to be a Thanatos incoming as well. Hovering Death, will it find its mark? Silence looks for the jukes. Does manage to get the ankle breaker on the Thanatos, but gets broken in half there by the Ares. Ice pays for their sins. Angry gets him back. Jingwei rotates on in, takes down Collis as well, thanks to Angry's last touches. Aegis forced off here. Nice shield from the Kate as well. Susano deciding if they want to enter on in. They only have a bit of health, and they might encounter Bologna instead. The Eagles rally, finds them. Nil takes the kill. Emmanuel falls down as well. This Akate's unstoppable. So is the Jingwei, though. Up to the sky. You can't take her down. Anti-aircraft guns would be necessary for that, and Icy just doesn't have that firepower. A nice fight there for Tythonic. A better one for Smoke Break.
Yeah, and I'm admittedly, I think, a little bit split on that fight, because sure, you got one kill, but I don't know if they had the business taking that. They are so far behind on levels. You can't, as a full team of level 10s, march into a team of level 14s and expect anything good to happen. You get one kill onto Johnny, which, you know, granted, it's a nice shutdown. 7-0-7, certainly good stat line, but if you lose your entire team for it, I don't think it's worth it, at least for the mental standpoint at that point. You know, 1v4, no matter what stage or what state the game is in, it's never going to be a fun trade to make. Smoke Break pushing ahead now, might end up looking for this Gold Fury. Believe it's respawn, and they need to take the second one if they want to kind of rotate to this Ancient Fury soon.
Nah, we just care about the speed buff, bro. Ymir is going so quick. This guy is going at sonic speeds, breaking the sound barrier with these walls. Queen Naga gonna be up next. Smoke Break. They saw the game plan of Bill's Goons, map state awareness, and they took it, doubled it, and passed it on. Just going to keep going with these objectives. Now Naga buff around their waist. Going to be very easy to take down this Fury. 4 stack up here to just make sure to whittle it down. Tythonic trying to do what you said, Fisher. They're trying to farm, but eventually it's going to come down to fight. What's their best way to win one?
Honestly, it's really hard to say. I don't know how many win conditions they have right now. Every single member on that team, if you take Ice Silence as support out of the equation, is down 4 levels at the very least. You might get a little bit of respite here. Johnny's going to fall to Ice. So nice few levels. That's just going to push up the Thanatos. Good job for them catching that player out of position. But I don't know. It's rough. You are down almost 20,000 gold 15 minutes into this game. You're down 14 kills. You only have 2 tier 2 towers left. It's looking grim, honestly, for Tythonic. It's just going to take a miraculous play. You got to be in the right spot at the right time. more than that, I think he said it back in game one. We were looking at who and how to get back in this. It's going to take a mistake from Smoke Break. I don't know if there's anything Tythonic can do on their own, because unfortunately, no falls. It's going to have to take Smoke Break doing something wrong and them capitalizing on it.
Well, we saw that as you were talking, you know, to be fair, Johnny goes down, bit out of position, finds 4, waiting for them in mid-jungle. That's nice. Unfortunately, Johnny's back up. Nil is not. 20 seconds more before Bologna can crop back up here. Shock winding around the back. Tythonic want to contest this FG, but I don't know if they know the consequences that will entail afterwards, because Smoke Break were just looking for kills instead. They turn to Kalis and kill them with the quickness. This Hecate is divine. And Tythonic, with that, their taste for battle has gone sour. It leaves a brutally bad, bitter taste in their mouth as they retreat back to the left side. Maybe try to kill Johnny again, sure, but the FG is Smoke Breaks to win.
And they're going to win it easily. It's not going to be any contestation out of that one. Johnny lurking away in that left-hand side of the map. Shock is following too. And I gotta say, for Tythonic, they are walking right into a trap. I don't know if they see the Shock. Now they do. And now, if you're Tythonic, you gotta get out of there. This Neve might be dead, though. Right into the waiting arms of Johnny. That's a rough leap, rough placement, and it looks like Ice is gonna follow as well. This Thanatos, they're fast, but they are not fast enough. Before they can channel the ultimate, Benko with 1. That's 2 on the left-hand side, and now this right-side bird might be in trouble.
Wall's already been placed. Bologna eats quite a few bolts to the back for it. Eagles Rally gets him out of the gates, but Kalis couldn't quite follow them through that peephole. Killing spree here for the Jingwei. Right side bird going to be taken off without a doubt. Silence takes a fun little portal, just rides the wave. I'm sure it's fun to be in a Hecate portal. I imagine it's not traumatizing at all through your mental or physical body, the toll it might take. And now Tythonic taking a toll on their health bars at the moment. Johnny just whittling away at this mid-tier 2. Takes down Soul. Taken down there by E-Chrome as well. Smoke Break have some low health bars, but that Fly Manita just going to store him back up to a sizable amount of HP. They continue to siege down every single bird in their wake. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. Free chicken. Mid-Phoenix goes down. Left side to follow. Tythonic now huddle in the throne room. Need to find a way to defend.
Yeah, call Leonard Skinner, because it's another free bird. Now they're marching onto the Titan. Tythonic going to be in trouble.
Fly high. Free bird, but Jingwei is the one who can only follow that motto with those persistent gusts. Susano as well. You're going to be taking a quick trip back to the fountain, buddy. You're flying high in heaven. Kalis goes down for the rampage on the Jingwei. We're just looking for the damage on the Titan, but Angry looks for kills instead. They're pissed off. Ice goes down and Icy to follow. Double kill there for the Jingwei. And semifinals victory for Smoke Break. You're moving on to the last round.
And this is the team to be in the bracket. It's tough to say without seeing any. The other ones have been on the mainstream, obviously. We've been doing this all day, but my gosh, Smoke Break is on it. Look at Angry there in the mid lane. I think E-Chrome as well going crazy. 16-0 in your backline. You're not going to lose a game in the world if those are your stats every game. And that's not even talking about the 26,000 gold lead before 20 minutes. That's unheard of. You got to feel bad for Tythonic. An incredible roster. Just outmatched in this one, quite simply.
You talked about it at the desk, man. You said this backline is what's going to win their game, and Smoke Break said, all right, bet, run it. 16 kills unanswered for that Hecate and Jingwei. They just couldn't do anything about it. They tried to gank E-Chrome so many times, but they just always came up short, and E-Chrome would come up with that heat on those bolts. That being said, Tythonic had moments of respite. They had moments of good plays. It was just when they were capitalizing on Smoke Break being out of position. But then unfortunately, like you said, they would get a bit too big for their britches. They'd step out with level 10s versus level 12s, and they'd get smacked back for it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger level discrepancy than that. But at the same time, it's such like a bad situation because you know if you just sit back and do nothing, you're not going to win the game. The game's going to end quicker. You have to do something. It just begs the question, what do you do? Obviously, that one was not the answer. That's not what you do. You don't go fight when you're 4 levels down. But, you know, time was running out. They had very little options. And yeah, I mean, forget about the 29-5. I can't get over the gold difference. I don't think I've seen that big of a difference without the game going, like, 30-plus minutes.
It's really owed to what Ice Silence got started early. That speed buff steal was immensely important to set the pace, and they followed the assignment. Executed it to perfection. You kept seeing that speed buff farmed, and the kills stacked up alongside it. So Smoke Break, congratulations, you're moving on. Looking forward to seeing you on the Smite game stream. That's exactly where we're going, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. That is all we have for you here today on Smite in the Sewer. Hope you guys have enjoyed our inaugural run here. We certainly did. Thank you very much for stopping by. I've been Deelo, joined here by KingFsher. We had Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky. If you liked any of the production, the cameras, the scene work, the rain that's pit-patting on the ground, please thank them, recognize them for their brilliant work today. We could not do it without them. And that being said, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer at home. We hope you've enjoyed these sets just as much as we have. We're going to be raiding out here shortly to Smite Pro as well. Make sure to say hello to Anthony Malum. It's his birthday. Wish him some nice farewell birthday wishes. And with that, have a good one. Good games. Good night.
Listen, man.